Hello, hello. Welcome to the first secondary ambassador masterclass. It is wonderful to have you here for those schools who are able to join live. Please do use the chat function to let us know who you are, what school you're from, what ambassadors we have along with us today. If you could pop your microphones on mute, if that's okay. We know schools are busy places and sometimes there's all sorts going on in the background. Much appreciated. I apologise that my screen is blank. My camera has failed on my laptop, but I am Katie from the Tree Council, and I am delighted to welcome you along to this masterclass. It is the Story in Nature masterclass. It's a lovely one to get us started. It's something that I hope you will all thoroughly enjoy and be able to get your teeth into, and something that I think you'll have a little bit of experience of, and this will hopefully help you develop that. So thank you once again for joining. It has been amazing to hear how many people in different schools have wanted to be part of this, and to be a force for nature. So like I said, thank you for coming along and joining and being a Young Tree Champions ambassador, because you have been doing amazing things in your school, and it's great to see you having that passion and that drive to do that little bit more, to learn some additional skills that will help you share your passion for trees and nature. So if you wouldn't mind typing in the chat, just so we don't feel like we're just chatting to ourselves, just let us know what school you're here from. You could share the names of your ambassadors. With it being lunchtimes working in different ways at different schools, I know that some schools are struggling to attend live, and so we're going to watch recordings in break times or in after school sessions. So we will be sharing this recording with others, but you are more than welcome, if you wish to chat to us by unmuting your microphone. You are welcome to do that if you feel comfortable. Otherwise, please do use the chat function. Thank you, Bishop Ullathorne, all ambassadors here. That's wonderful. And I know that you've got a big old group of ambassadors at Bishop Ullathorne, because you're doing super exciting things there, and have got lots of people wanting to be part of it. So it's wonderful to have you along. Okay, I am not the main event of this masterclass by any means. I'm going to hand over to our ambassador, who is a fantastic force for nature, who does so much work in and around nature, but also has a great passion for writing and lots of experience of doing it. And that's why he is leading our Story in Nature masterclass. So I will introduce you to Harry.
Hello, am I audible? Can you hear me?
I certainly can, Harry, yes.
That's a good start. I hope the other two can as well. Can I also just say, by the way, you two are my favourite two schools that have come to this masterclass so far. I think Kate as well can speak. Out of all the secondary masterclasses, you guys are definitely the favourite ones we've had so far in our secondary masterclasses. I'm not going to sit around too long. We're going to get this over with so you can get back to your exciting lessons. A little bit about me. Very sorry. My name is Harry, and I've joined the Tree Council relatively recently. You're going to meet some other guys. You're going to meet James, who's doing like an arty masterclass. You're going to meet Benjamin, who's doing one about speaking and sort of turning the words and stuff that we're going to work with in this masterclass into sort of speeches, poems, raps, that sort of thing. They've been here for ages. I was sort of found, picture of me, bottom middle of the screen, at that very table selling bird boxes, like looking like a lost puppy. Because before this, what I sort of did, I had like a conservation project, wildlife conservation project called Save the House Sparrow. House sparrows, little bird, about the size of your fist, very common but declining, and they're a bird that we can all get involved with conserving. And that was very much my thing before this. I built over sort of 2 years during lockdown about 300 bird boxes and put them up or sold them. So yeah, very good workout for your shoulders, but that's what I was found doing. And I've done a couple bits for the Tree Council now, such as standing in hedges and talking about them. Another picture there. And yeah, just generally been to some events and helped out with the Tree Council's fantastic work. And thank you guys for getting involved with it. But on to the exciting bit now. I think you've done the bit about me.
I don't want to talk about you for the whole session, Harry, but just to give a little bit of an insight to the guys in the secondaries. So it's led on to exciting things as well. What is it that you're doing now? What role have you taken on
Oh
recently?
yeah, at the moment, so my job is as a park ranger, and a lot of I'm in my shed. I'm normally at work when I do these things, and I've got like some beautiful butterfly posts and stuff. But no, I'm a park ranger at a place down in Bognor Regis, and what I do there is just run workshops every day about wildlife and sort of. We do some creative stuff as well, but that like painting pebbles, but that's not quite as cool as lighting fires or making dens and stuff like that. But no, that's what I do as sort of my day job, and then I do a couple of little extra bits like this. A lot
So
of extra fun bits.
Harry's passion has led to him becoming an ambassador for us, writing for the BBC and doing all sorts of pieces of writing, doing our Story in Nature competition that was running the week, being a judge on that, and being a park ranger, which I've always said I'd love ranger in my job title, where he gets to do this thing all the time now as part of his job. So just showing you where it can take you. Sorry for jumping in, Harry. I will move on
That's
and we
right.
can start the official masterclass.
No, there are a lot of jobs if you're into sort of the wildlife and education sort of thing. It's not too difficult. If I can do it, then if anyone's interested, you guys definitely can. But yeah, rolling on. So today we're looking at how to create an engaging story in nature, just our learning objectives. We're going to work on characters. They're going to be the sort of the main focus of the session, because characters are always the exciting bit about like a film, even things like newspapers, you know, they're focused on like a person that's done something stupid or weird, or a dog that's done something stupid or weird, or so there's always like a focus. The characters are normally the main focus. I mean, sure, like movies and stuff have got amazing backgrounds or like scenes or whatever, but it's normally the characters we kind of resonate with. And yeah, just again looking at the importance of characters as well, and to complete your mission. Going to give you a mission at the end, something to sort of go away with, take you outside of this workshop, hopefully take some of the stuff we've talked about here back out into your life, and yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that at the end. But our starter, going to be looking at some words, because obviously before you're writing, whenever I write a piece, I always like to do a little warm-up bit to sort of get your brain in the writing mode, get it all flowing, you know, get the words out there. So we just got 5 words on screen, and what I'd like you guys to do is to just drop in the chat what you think each of them means, and we'll have another look at that in a second. So we've got relatable, valiant, flawed, expressive, and transformative. So if you guys wouldn't mind just taking a second, see what you think. Well, you probably know what some of them mean, but just let us know in the chat what you think they mean, and all shall be revealed shortly. Relatable, valiant, flawed, expressive, and transformative, which we'll hopefully be able to use in our main activity in a little bit. Might just turn on a light real quick. It's getting a little bit gloomy down here. I don't know about you guys, but much better. Feel free to turn your cameras on at any point as well. Feels a little bit weird at the moment. It's like just looking and talking in a mirror. But then if you want to turn on your cameras, absolutely fine.
It doesn't help that I'm being mysterious today with my faulty technology as well, Harry.
I know, it's very, very eerie. Katie's like, I keep saying this could be AI, this could be a recording. So the real Katie could just be like,
Me just sat in the darkness here.
At any moment. And you don't have to put it in the chat, by the way, either. If you want to turn on your mic for a second, because there's only 2 schools, only 2 of you. At any point, that's also fine. I haven't read the...
Don't worry if you're not 100% sure, if you can have a guess. If you've heard one of these words and you think you can have a go, you have got the anonymity of being on your having your teacher's name in the chat, so no one will know who's technically giving the answer anyway. So any of these words, what they might mean, type them in that chat.
If you're still with us after me talking about me, we've got Bishop Ullathorne and Mr. Moore's school. Any suggestions? Might just be being very slow. These things often take a little while, don't they?
We'll give it 30 seconds or so, and then we can go through. Oh, there we go.
Absolutely.
Bishop Olathorn on the
Have we got
ball.
one? Have we? Oh, nice, relatable. Can empathize with someone, an idea. Yeah.
Shall I go
Good.
through and pop the answers on the screen, seeing that we've already got
Oh
some of
no,
them?
we just got them
Gone
all.
the
We
wrong
got them
way.
all from
Got them
Mr.
all.
Moore's school. Beautiful. Oh, they're all coming through. There we go. I think it does just take a while with these things. You sort of like you type it and then it all comes through at once. It's like buses in London, waiting for one and then they all show up. Expressive.
All of them except Valiant. That's a good point, actually. Anyone got a clue on Valiant? Or is that one escaped us?
Valiant is, yep, I think, let's hold on for a second. We got to see if
it's a full house.
Yeah, exactly. Bishop Olathorn, you're gonna give us, oh, we got Valiant.
Oh, there we go. We've got a few. Right.
We've got two Valiants now, full house.
Let's reveal then, see if they agree with what was typed in the chat.
Absolutely, let's get going. So relatable, someone or something you understand and feel a connection to. So yeah, I think you've got that pretty solidly. So I, for example, liking wildlife and the environment, would not relate very much with Donald Trump, who sort of like consumes a lot, not great person for the environment. Valiant, there we go. Brave and determined. So yeah, you always hear like the valiant sort of hero, don't you? Like the valiant in stories like that. It's always the hero, always sort of like the main character that's valiant, that's brave, and selfless as well. I think you said selfless. Flawed, having a weakness or imperfection. Having a flawed character is actually quite good because it makes them relatable, because none of us are perfect. The amount of things I do on a daily basis that go wrong, I mean, whenever I run activities, it's normally me that makes the mess. So you could always say I'm very flawed in that way, but it makes them a lot more lovable when it's like a character that you've made up as well. So flawed, good job on that. Expressive, showing thoughts and feelings. So when I talk, I don't sort of just talk like this and sound very monotone and just stare at you all. I sort of like, I sound excited and I move my hands and I sort of gesticulate, and you can tell my emotion, you can tell how I'm feeling, and it's very good to have a character that feels like that as well, because other people reading it will think, oh, so they're happy at that, or oh, they're sad that that thing died, or not sure why I use that as an example, a bit morbid. But last one, transformative, causing a major change to someone or something else. What do we put for transformative? Can be changed. Yeah, that's it. If it's a character, they'll be the ones causing the change. Transformative, something that helps you change. There we go. That's true, actually. An experience could be transformative as well. You have like a transformative experience or like a religious experience or something like that. That'd be transformative. That'd change you. So I think, yeah, that's good. It's a full house. Just really. So next little thing, I mentioned characters, right? Characters are going to be the center of our story in nature. So it's going to be a story sort of in nature, so it will relate to nature in some way, ideally. Just bear that in mind when you think about characters later. But first, I just want you to have a think about some characters you like. So we had a ton of these for the primary masterclass. If you all just have a think about a character that you like, you really like. So could be anyone, could be from a book, could be from a movie, could be, I guess it could even be like sort of a real person that you look up to, or someone in the media, and just sort of think about, you know, why that is. Put it in the chat as well. Put it in the chat, or just turn on your mic for a second, and let us know so we can hear your fabulous ideas.
But it might even be a character that's not necessarily positive, but is really interesting in a book or in a film or in a story. So they might kind of have a big impact. They might be quite dark, and they might end up being defeated, but you think they're interesting. So anyone at all who you think is an interesting character in fiction or in films or in the media, like Harry said, and why do you think they're interesting?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, one new message. What is that new? Tris. I don't think I know Tris. Do you know who Tris is, Katie?
I was going to say we may need some explaining to us. You may kind of highlight our ignorance of some characters, so you may need to give us a little bit of information on some of them.
A little bit of.
Oh, brave and fearless.
Oh yeah. No, I do know who you talk about. I know Divergent. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Brave and fearless. So I guess you could say they are valiant. Just think back to the words, but that's a good one. I do know who you talk about now. Yeah, that's a good one. And like Katie said, just any character as well, because I quite like the ones that are sort of a bit darker or have an edge, like Katie herself today has. So yeah, absolutely anyone.
It would be boring if it was all just nice and positive and everything went well, wouldn't it? You need something to upset that a little bit, otherwise. Oh, great
Absolutely.
one there. I loved that Aragon, Lord of the Rings. That's one of my favorites there.
Hey,
Oh,
Captain Jack Sparrow. I like that one. That's
yeah.
a very good one. He's got a lot of sort of qualities. He's got a lot of different. Mr. Bean, the legend Mr. Bean. Absolutely. We had quite a few sort of stories when we did this with the primary ones, which sort of had a little bit of comedy and stuff in them as well. So no,
I feel
definitely include
one of
some
the
of that.
key words has been captured in a couple of these. Flawed, certainly coming to mind, but they stick in your mind, don't they?
Exactly. That's true, actually. Yeah, a lot of these have been flawed, which, as we were saying, they just makes it a bit more. And Homer Simpson, very, very flawed. I mean, he's a nice character, but after I knew a real life Homer Simpson, my God, I don't know if we'd, I don't know how much I'd like him, but no, that's a very good one as well. Okay, it's good. Some great characters. So on to the next bit. Creating your own character. So before you sort of have a think about your own character that you're going to be creating, you think about where they're going to be. So I've got a sort of example scene here for you to just have a little look at. And I want you to have a think about some characters. Ooh, sorry, my chair's just breaking. I want you to have a think about some characters that you could think would live here. So you could have the sort of the stereotypical ones, like you have the gardener that looks after this. Put them in the chat, by the way. Chat or microphone. You could have the gardener that looks after this. It's very Peter Rabbit-esque, as Katie said when we first looking at these. So you could have some rabbits as characters, but we want to think a little bit more dynamic, if you can, a little bit more sort of outside of the box. So I'd go for maybe the plants. You could be something underground. You could be something that's not in the picture. You could be a bird sort of flying over and thinking, oh, that's a nice allotment down there, or just going about your day, what might tie in with the rest of the story. You could be worms underground. You could be maybe those trees in the background are getting cut down just behind, sort of outside the picture where you can't see it. So you could be someone that's come along and is cutting that down. Talk about that, how that's obviously not great for the allotment. You could be all sorts of things as well. And it doesn't have to be alive either. Your character can be literally anything. So you could even be like, you've got the bamboo canes there with the peas or the whatever that is growing up it. You could be sort of a bamboo cane and talk about like how it's changed over the years, how the sort of plants have grown up, or how some have disappeared, how things come and go. Because it's really good to try and have a meaning behind like your character or your story. So the meaning of that could be sort of time and how it's had an effect. We got a fox as our first one though. Woodland creature. That's very nice. Everyone loves a good fox. They're very mischievous as well, foxes. They've got even in real life, foxes have a lot of characters. So that's a good one. I do like the fox. Coming in and having a snack on any rabbits hanging around there, no doubt.
They're great to
Any
give
more for any
emotions to.
more?
Creating
What, sorry?
animals as characters are great to give emotions to. And you can think about how the conditions might affect your character. So if this was a drought and your character was one of the plants or something, thinking about how that might affect it. And the same if the plants are dying and your character's a rabbit. Oh, we've going creative in Bishop Ullathorn. I like it. It's always
Me
good when
too.
you've never even thought of that as a character in this scene. So it shows how out of the box it is. The first ones you think of, everyone's thought of. But if you can think of something different, that catches your imagination.
Yeah. Hedgehog. Oh,
I love it.
that is amazing. Absolutely. Got to include a little bee as well. I like the hedgehog idea though. Barbecue makes everything better. A badger. Again, a lot of characters to badgers. I think there's a lot of relatableness with mammals as well. Sort of like anything hairy. Whenever you see like a deer or something in the wild, you can be like, yeah, okay, I sort of know how you feel. I get you, but with sort of something like a shark, you don't really get that. So mammals, a rabbit again. very popular one with the Cena rabbit. It could be doing a lot. Bee, badger, rabbit. There's tons of stuff. So I think that's
Oh,
good.
that's interesting. Vines is an interesting one because they could
Oh,
have an interesting personality wrapping their way around
mm-hmm. And the
trees.
worm as well.
Yeah.
Poor old worms. I mean, they get a lot of sticks. So that'd be, if anyone wants to do a character, I'd doing one that doesn't get loved much would be very, make me personally feel very happy. But worms, yeah, you could do quite a lot with a worm as well. Because obviously they go underground, so they'd experience a lot of different landscapes and stuff as they go around. Oh,
Oh, that one's just got super exciting with a twist on that one.
sorry, I was Siri piping up. Stone owl, which comes to life. Liking the
We're getting
creativity, going a
creative.
step further with the druids and the stone owls.
Do we think the brains are ticking now? Do we think we're ready?
I think we're nice and
What do you
warmed up.
think?
Let's go. Let's dive on into the main event, which is creating your fabulous character. So you've done a little brainstorm now. Got some words and some sort of personality traits to build in your character. But now want you to actually come up with some characters. So think about a couple to do with this scene. Well, this scene's more of an example. So you could think of any scene, really. This is just for those of you who might, I don't know, need an idea to get started or something. This is your sort of like your blank canvas if you want, but you might have a blank canvas up here. It could be under the water, it could be in the sea, could be up in the sky, could be if you're going into the sort of lands of druids and stone owls that are coming to life and doing stuff. It could be a completely made up landscape if you really wanted, but a couple of characters, be creative, which you've got down already. And write a description of one of your characters. Pick your, maybe not your favorite, but the most interesting one, really. I think that's a good word from Katie earlier. Pick your most interesting character, do a little description of what they like. Yeah, no, that is up there. What they're thinking, what they're feeling. So in this scene, you could be sort of, you could be the chainsaw if you wanted to go really creative. You should sort of talk about the chainsaw and how maybe it's conflicted because it doesn't want to cut down the tree that's coming down, or you could attach personality traits to it, like you do with something living. How they move is a good one as well. So like a fox we talked about earlier, they're quite lanky. They sort of like, they look like the wind would almost blow them over as they're sort of like they're padding around. But a badger, if you had a badger as your character, they're very sort of stocky and they sort of like, they plod along and they're very like sort of assured in their movements and where they're going. So just have a little think about some characters, write your description for them, do all that, and then for the challenge, if you get through that, if you absolutely blitz that and you want to go a step further, we want you to try and include juxtaposition in your sort of your character and what's happening in the scene, because we want a little snapshot really. You want to use your character as a window to a story. So in this one, you could write about, like I said, the chainsaw, and that would be the window in sort of the trees being cut down and everything else going on. You could be a bird flying overhead again that's watching it all unfold. So your character is sort of like a window into the story. It's like the gradient in there, and we want you to try and include some juxtaposition if you want to go a step further.
Does anyone in the chat want to, can they explain what juxtaposition is? Did I beat you to it, Harry?
No, you didn't.
I just thought we might throw in
lines.
a little test there. Did you see?
That's right. Have a little think about, yeah, exactly.
It's
That's a
quite
good
a
idea.
long and confusing word. I don't know if anyone is familiar with it, anyone heard it, anyone have a guess at what juxtaposition might mean. Oh, that was quick.
That was even quicker than Valiant and stuff earlier.
That was fast, wasn't it? Someone is sure they are spot on as well. Absolutely. Some opposite things that are side by side found near each other. So you might find that two of your characters are very opposite, or you might have two very different settings or weather conditions or something that might create juxtaposition. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you could sort of have the juxtaposition in the scene as well. We were sort of chatting before, you could sort of have the juxtaposition of like the trees, a complete forest, and then sort of like just a barren open expanse with no wildlife. Think about juxtaposition in that sense. And cyclical is the other one. So I think going with tradition now, you got any ideas of what cyclical might mean? Look at how it's spelt if you're not sure. what the slide is. Sorry, my chair's just falling apart. Just sort of having to
You're going to get lower and lower in the video.
Yeah, I know, just sort of sinking down, and you just see my hair at the top of the thing, like wibbling around. But cyclical. You got any ideas from that?
That's probably a hard one.
Yeah, it is. But again, look at the start of the word. If you need a little, if you're not 100% sure on it, it's a nice word to use as well. It's a nice sort of like, there are simpler ways of saying cyclical, but if you can use cyclical on something, it's always like it's a really lovely word, you know. It's one of those. Let's just give it a second, see if any of you guys think you might know what it means. Not sure on this one.
No, we might have stumped him.
Or it might just be really slow again, but I don't know.
We'll keep moving on.
Do you want to do the honors on cyclical?
So cyclical, the word that it looks a bit like is cycle. It kind of goes in a full circle almost. So you might start your story once you've created your, oh, Bishop Ullathorne, we're on it. Look at that. It comes back to the beginning. Absolutely spot on. So you might start your story with the ending. So if you did this landscape, you might describe the devastation, and then you might flip back to the beginning, the beautiful forest, serene, and describe how it got there, and finish sometimes with the exact same paragraph you started with, or the exact same line. Or you could start at the beginning of a day and have a bird in the tree looking at the forest, and then it ends with the beginning of the next day when it's looking at a completely devastated landscape. So it kind of goes in a full circle, and it can be, sometimes starting with the end can be a really impactful way of starting a story.
Absolutely. So I remembered why I sort of know this before. This was like the challenge in my primary school. If I'm annoying you while you're thinking, by the way, do just ignore me and block me out or mute me. That's just sort of in primary school, that was like the challenge, like the end of year 6, that was how you got the top grade, was you had to make a cyclical story. So I had one where there was like, it was obviously to do with wildlife. It was in a pond, and there were like loads of characters. I think it was about like a frog and a snail, and it opened in like this really destroyed pond. Like my opening paragraph was just describing like a pond that had just been massacred. And then I sort of said, a couple of days earlier, this and this happened. And then I finished with the same description again. So if you can sort of, obviously we haven't got much time now, but just think about that when you go into your challenges and stuff later as well. And if you can do it now as well, then fabulous. You've earned my respects. But
so now you're not going to have time to write a full story in nature right now, and you can probably guess what your mission's going to be. But for now, just so that we can kind of hear those ideas that are flowing, you've talked about some of the characters you've created. Harry's given you those ideas of writing a description of one of your characters. So just a short bit, it might be a few sentences of one of your characters using that guidance on the screen there. You might write a short description of a couple of them if you want to include juxtaposition, what they look like, how they're moving, what they're feeling, what emotions they have. I like the word conflicted that Harry used for the chainsaw, could be conflicted. And be as creative as you like. And we'd love to hear some of these, whether it is you reading them out, whether it's your teacher reading them out, whether it's typing in a couple of sentences in the chat, whichever way you'd like to share. We'd love to hear how you're getting on with some of these as we go. We've got about just under 15 minutes of this session left, and we will give you a rundown on the mission. So you've probably got kind of 5-7 minutes, something like that, just to make a start and thinking about, or whatever landscape, like Harry said, you might have picked a completely different. I feel like there may be some who are online here who have got very creative, almost kind of fantasy inspired, kind of mythical, all sorts. So you might do a completely different landscape. Like, I mean, the whole of Middle Earth, we mentioned Lord of the Rings. It's a created landscape, so you can do your own thing if you wish, but we want something to do with nature, and trees ideally would be great in there.
I think we have got like a Lord of the Rings fan with Bishop's Ullathorne though, judging from some of the character ideas like druids and stuff.
possibly might have consumed a few of my teenage years actually reading Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah,
It was
no,
one of my
I completely
favorites. So
resonate with that as well.
not that I'm not at all miffed that my favorite character in the whole trilogy is not in the films either. But anyway,
Oh,
I
you
loved.
don't sound bothered at all.
No,
No, no.
I've got over it completely.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't keep you up at night. Just like, only, if
But that shows the
only.
power of characters, though. That I feel
It
completely
is true.
passionate about this made-up character.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested now who it is. We,
He's
we
called
talked about
Tom.
their favorite
He's
characters,
called
but
Tom Bombadil, and he's in the first. He's in the first of the trilogies, and he's just a good guy. And
oh,
I felt like it was unfair for them to leave him out completely, but never mind.
oh, I see. Is he valiant
Well, I would say
or
quietly valiant and in an understated kind of way. I think he's definitely relatable,
yeah,
and
yeah?
he's
Is
a positive guy.
so valiant that they forgot to include him in the film.
Yeah, so
We're kind of going
powerful.
off track now, but
I
as
know.
well, we're like,
I feel like the schools watching this as a recording don't need to listen to me waffle on
no, no,
about.
no, they're probably all tuned off now. But hope you're coming up with good ideas. Keep it up as we just listen to Katie get sad about her character.
Awfully
But
passionate.
yeah,
But even if you just want to give us a little message in the chat about what landscape you've decided on, if are you going with a picture, if you've gone with your own, or what type of character you've selected, even if you're not up to the point of sharing sentences and phrases. Just
yeah, as you're going along, just sort of think of, say, like the ideas that are going, because you can always give other people ideas as well. There's someone there, like
absolutely.
they're not sure what to do or what to pick between, and then someone says, I'm going to set mine in this type of woodland and have this. That might be like the eureka moment, because writing is basically, and some people have a go at me for saying this, but writing is basically a lot of the time people stealing bits of other people's writing and then smushing it into something new and putting like a bit of you in there. That's what I've done a lot of times with pieces of my writing. Is I've read something and thought, that is amazing, I want to do something exactly like that.
When I
And
was
then
teaching, Harry, we called it magpieing, not stealing.
that's good, actually. I like magpie. I think borrowing, maybe borrowing.
Borrowing, being
It's not like
inspired.
yeah, you won't get arrested for sort of like taking someone else's but no, I like magpie, actually. That's a nice term. That's one of those lovely words again. Magpie.
Do you know
It's
what I
getting
did think when you said about something? Then I thought you were going to say set in the future, and then I suddenly thought, well, that's a great idea. Imagine what the landscape will look like then. What characters? Who even knows?
that's very good, actually. That'd be like cyclical, but to the extreme. Sort of like
Yeah.
you maybe talk about climate change or one of these big issues and sort of how it's been affected by that, and then go back ages or not even go back, just because I mean, I think we spoke about the story that had the sad ending. One of the really good ones that I read for primary had quite a sad ending, and it properly got across this message of sort of like deforestation, and all the wildlife, all the characters that they talked about, how the trees had all been cut down, there wasn't any wildlife left, and all the characters, they obviously died, and it was a little bit unexpected because it was primary kids, and it was all sort of, it didn't feel like it was going to happen, but that was a really impactful one. So
And
you could just,
sometimes you left not knowing which way it's going to go.
yeah, exactly. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing a sort of a sad one, or one that, I don't know. I don't want to use the word complain because it's not really complaining. It's you're speaking about a genuine issue, but there's nothing wrong with that. If your story or your character is sort of like, they're experiencing something that's really bad and it's not like a great situation. There's nothing wrong with that. They're almost the most memorable ones in some ways. But anyone got any ideas? I'm feeling very quiet. I'm worried that I've scared you all off. Or
I
we've
think it
scared
was
you all off.
me. My rant about Lord of the Rings possibly did that, so apologies.
No,
But
I was getting quite into it, to be fair. But any ideas? Any characters? Landscapes? Stick them in the chat or turn your mics on for a second. Let us know, even if they're just ideas, because you'll have plenty of time after this to go off and do your challenge and take it that step further. Anyone? Oh, in a forest. That's a good start. That is a good start. Forest are very magical place as well, and there's a
Yeah,
lot of potential in forests.
you can have all sorts of different. You can have a dark, kind of slightly
Yeah.
mysterious, a little bit intimidating, or you can have it as a wonderful, magical. It's a nice, a lovely setting. Could do all
Mm.
sorts with that.
Yeah, I've been to some scary forests, like some big pine trees and a magical space. I sense the route that we're going down here. It's
Oh,
very,
good. I like that
oh,
one.
a conflict between a chainsaw and a woodpecker. My God, they used your word as well, Katie. You got conflict. That'd be amazing. Yeah, you could do some great stuff between that. Yeah, I'm interested to know more about that one now as well.
It's
Conflict between a
truly man
woodpecker and a
versus
chainsaw.
nature, isn't it?
Yeah, something along those lines, but I don't know. I don't know what sort of the route that I take. So please enlighten me when you've got a bit more of an idea, or if we don't run out of time as well.
Oh, well, that's good timing in terms of your lessons, learning
We're
about
currently learning.
conflict and geography.
There
Human
you go
versus
then.
nature is a massive conflict.
Yeah, it is. But it's a little bit one-sided, sadly.
A
With
shipwreck with humans and animals.
ooh, I like that.
That is interesting.
It is interesting.
Definitely outside of the box. We're definitely getting some interesting ideas here.
Absolutely.
We've got 5 minutes, Harry. So should we introduce the mission?
Yes, I think we better.
Oh.
So you're learning objectives again though. Just looking at what we went over, and you've all sort of done that now. You've got some fabulous characters. I'm loving the creativity as well. I love like the sort of idea of the druids and stuff, and the shipwreck idea especially, and the conflict. They're all good. Let's just say they're all good. They're all very creative. They're all very good, and looking forward to finding out more in your mission. Which,
It's not
if
about completing a
anyone's
collage.
the what? Sorry.
It's not about completing a
It's not
collage.
completing a collage. No, that is James's fabulous workshop, which you're going to have in a little bit. And you've got to pretend that you didn't see that to spoil all the sort of build up in his masterclass. But you can create a collage as well, but this one's sort of more writing based. So if you've not guessed, it's going to be writing a story in nature using your character. And I'm sure you've all got sort of like an idea of where the story's going to go. Like for the chainsaw woodpecker character, you've obviously got a conflict, so your story would be probably around the conflict. But we want you to make your own story in nature. It can be, I was going to say it can be as long as short as possible, but we really want you to send them in once you've made them, because I had a great time reading some of the submissions from last, and they're absolutely amazing. So if you could make them sort of like anywhere between a page and a Bible's length. Well, a little bit smaller than a Bible, maybe like a couple pages. There's no real limit, but just yeah, use your creativity and come up with a story around your characters. So you've got some great characters, and I'm already sort of itching to find out where some of these go and where they take us. So
Yeah, we imagine you've got a lot on with other things as well, homework and whatnot. So maybe
yes,
if you could spare up to an hour to get something written, even if you had an amazing paragraph describing a character in your landscape, then that's fabulous. Whatever you can manage. We've loved your ideas and we would love to hear what you can make of this mission. So the
absolutely.
email address is on there, so please do share them with your teacher once you've completed your mission. You can type them, you can handwrite them, whichever way. And then your teacher will share them with us when completed. It would be great if you could complete them before the next masterclass, which is next week, just so that they don't kind of pile up a little bit. And also some of the words that you will use in your story might help you inspire your work in the next masterclass as well. They all kind of run on in quite a useful order where it's kind of putting together the things you're doing in each of your missions. So it would be really helpful if you did get something done that might help inspire next one.
Is it Benjamin's masterclass
It's
next?
Benjamin's words in nature, and then that will be
Yeah.
followed by his spoken word in nature. So we're kind of developing and building on the skills to hopefully give you some different ways of communicating, of sharing your thoughts about trees and nature, and of having a little bit of fun doing it as well, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that is the mission. Like Katie said, send it to the email. And thank you very much for coming, basically. Look forward to Words in Nature as well. I'm sure that's going to be amazing. You're going to have a great time with Benjamin. And thank you all for just sort of being junior ambassadors as well, being here as well, making the time. Know you're all extremely busy and you've probably got maths and tons of other exciting stuff to get back to after this. But no, just thank you very much for coming, guys.
And a
It's
big
been a
thank
lovely
you to
session.
Harry from me, and I'm sure you guys as well. Harry is an awesome person who does loads for the Tree Council, for nature, and I just absolutely love the fact that he gives his time, his one day off, to share with us and share with you guys. So thank you, Harry.
You're not too bad either, Katie. You know, you do a couple of things as well. And hopefully we've got
If
some
it is
future
really
sort of
me in the darkness
observations
here,
and stuff here. What, sorry?
if it is really me in the darkness here.
Yeah, I know. We'll never know. You're gonna have to tune in for the next masterclass, and you might see a real life Katie, the rarest species of all.
Thanks, guys, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I know how busy and crazy and hectic it is in school, so a big thank you, and we can't wait to read your stories in nature. Thanks, guys. I'm going to stop the recording and I will end the meeting here. So thank you once again.